Well, welcome to another episode of The Minority Voice. I'm your host, Jeff Vega. And as always, we need your help. So we want you to subscribe, share it, and also if you'd like to make a comment, and we get this thing moving. And today I have back with us Patrice Johnson of the Pure Integrity for Michigan Elections. And I asked you to come back because I think, as we moving forward, we need to educate people on what's going on. And as you mentioned last time with your group, you guys are active and you're getting down there and getting into their faces and letting them know that you're here. Not literally, but you're there in front of them. And but if you want to get in their face, that's okay too. But they know you're there and you're not going away, and that's important because now they got to respond. So folks, I brought her back, and we're going to give you some updates. So things going good?
Yeah, a lot of things are happening. It's a very busy time right now with the legislature back.
Yeah, they just came back this last week, right?
Yes.
Or was it this week?
I think it was last week, wasn't
last
it?
Week. Okay, yeah, I
that's
think
right.
it was right after. Okay.
Yeah.
So what's on the agenda that's already happened?
Well, that's interesting that you asked that because on September 14th, I think it was, I got an email from Adam DeAngeli, and he basically said, I'm not summarizing it exactly, but with friends like Republicans, you don't need Democrat enemies kind of thing. It was a very heated message, and he was upset because he had learned from a media person that the Republicans and Democrats were fast-tracking a Democrat bill to provide illegal immigrants with driver's licenses, which was interesting because I immediately looked up the bills when I got his email, and I saw that what that did is it not only made their driver's licenses so you couldn't tell that they were different, but it also made it such that you couldn't FOIA as part of the bill, you would not be able to do a Freedom of Information Act to find out who had these licenses. And it was against the law for police to arrest folks, and it was against the law to discriminate against anyone with an illegal license, an illegal resident. It basically took a Michigan law and struck down everything that required residency or Social Security or anything that would prove your citizenship.
The interesting thing about that, and you said the Republicans were fast-tracking. Now, who's in control of the House and the Senate?
Well, the Republicans are.
Right.
That's why Adam was so heated under the collar.
So we have our team, let's say team, fast-tracking
a Democrat bill.
A Democrat bill that, in essence, makes it legal for illegal immigrants.
Yes, and the more I learned about it, what I discovered was it was really a Democrat ploy to get illegals to vote. It was all about ballots and voting.
And that was going to be my next thing. I was going to ask you, does them having a driver's license automatically register them to vote too?
Well, when you go to get a driver's license, you are automatically registered to vote unless you opt not to be registered.
Exactly.
So, and in the bill, it specifically said these would not be good for federal elections. But that meant Michigan would become a sanctuary state and that everyone with one of these licenses could vote in every city, county, and state election.
Okay, so let's call out who are the Republicans that were co-sponsoring this bill.
Well, no, there were no co-sponsors. They were fast-tracking it through, I forget the name of the committee, which is a fast-tracking committee.
Okay.
But what happened
was... So who's the sponsors of the bill?
Okay. I'm sorry. Okay. I don't have those. I've got the bill here in front of me.
Okay. So I could see why Adam was fit to be tied because this is our team, and they're not going to bat for us.
Well, Adam did a marvelous job because he pointed out that in Oregon, the bill had come up in 2014, and it had received the most votes of anything on the ballot that time.
For
negative.
Okay.
In Oregon's a very liberal state.
Sure.
So he pointed that out. And then what happened was, as I went through the bill and I saw what was happening, I emailed all of our legislators that I knew would immediately look at my email. Fortunately, one of the benefits now of being a fairly sizable organization is that we have established relationships with people. So when I contact them, they pick up the phone or they read my email.
Because you're not going away.
Not going
and you're going to see, they might see you in front of their committee and ask, why did you answer that call or whatever.
But I don't think the Republicans were aware of what was happening, because I went up to testify in an education bill, and at the same time, John Clore, who was the press person that alerted Adam to what was going on, he went, we saw each other, and I said, well, I have to go here, and he said, well, I'll go over here, so we decided to split up, and he went over to testify. And then out front, when he was trying to go in, they were yelling F Trump, and they had the Antifa BLM people there.
See, the left is there.
Because that was so important to them. They wanted to sneak that through. And the Republicans I don't think the Republicans were aware of this, what was happening. And then between Adam and my group and other groups, I immediately asked, what is the senator's stance on this when I contacted people? What's your representative's stance on this? Are you aware that this is what is going to happen? And by the time I walked into my hearing, there had been an emergency meeting of the Republicans, and that hearing was canceled. So it was a true grassroots success. I was so pleased with that.
So on the bright side, who was the rep who took the initiative to make sure that it got canceled? Because let's give him or her some props. Who canceled the meeting? Do you know?
Well, I don't know, but I know I couldn't meet with Ann Boland because she was going into the emergency meeting.
Because you know what, we should give them a prop. Whoever took the initiative, whether it's to save their hide or really try to do the right thing, we should give them a prop. So, right, good. So we got that. So what else has happened?
Well, there's also the Secretary of State. If you remember, Jacqueline Benson, during the elections, had basically relaxed the standards and said, pretty much, don't challenge signature verification signatures on absentee
Consider
ballots.
them all verified.
Right.
Yeah,
and after the fact, the courts found against her. And why she's not being prosecuted is another question. But now she is.
We have an attorney general who likes her, but anyway, that's another story.
Yeah, that's probably it. But now she has basically written all those up, and she's submitted it to make it codified into the regulations. So
they're going to go through the regulation route as far as making it binding.
Yes, that's the only thing that stopped it before was that these had not been approved. So now she's trying to. Basically how it works is the Secretary of State submits it, it sits for a few days, and then it automatically goes into effect unless it's stopped.
How does it get stopped?
Well, that's not exactly totally clear because there's a joint committee that reviews, but they don't have the power to strike it down. They have the power to send it back for 270 days. Now, I understand though, and I'm very pleased to learn that Mike Shirkey has become involved in this. And he hasn't been, he hasn't been a flagsman on a lot of issues that we've really thought were important. So I give him credit. He's on this.
You got to give him props when they deserve it.
That's right. Sure. That's right. Okay. So there's an awareness now of what's happening, and there is a hearing October 1st in Detroit, which would be very important to go to.
October 1st. Where's it at? Do you know? All right, you know what? We'll get it. We'll put
I'm sorry, you're going to have to edit all this.
Okay, that's okay.
On the drive here, I thought I should get that.
We got to give David something to do, right, David?
Thank you, David.
Like you got nothing else to do, right? He's just sitting there smiling. So what else? What else has happened since they've been back?
Well, let's see. There's the new Election Integrity Network report came out, and it's basically a rebuttal to the McBroom report.
Oh, and who put that together?
I believe Patrick Colbeck had a large hand in it. Yes.
Since they targeted him, I guess.
Yes. Yeah. So that's very interesting, and it made some very good points. It's an excellent report, and it goes through basically and says, for example, one of the examples it says is you can't tell an affiant that they didn't prove their case, That's the prosecutor's job. The affiant says, this is what I saw. And then the prosecutor should package up, okay, this is how the pieces fit together.
So the affiant, though, explain to me what the affiant is.
The affiant is the person that filed an affidavit and said, I saw wrongdoing. And there were like 200 or more of them, in the
crazy amount
TCF Center.
Yes.
Right.
But anyways, go ahead.
So it basically says that, well, it says a lot of very good things, but one of the things it says is that the McBroom report didn't do its duty in really getting an outside investigator to look into these charges or to look into really any of the wrongdoing. They said they didn't find enough evidence of fraud to overturn the election. So based on that, they took no action. And that in this rebuttal is a very good point, that what they should have done is not looked for, okay, this would cause enough to overturn the election. They should have been looking at, here's where the law was broken, here's where the law was broken, here's what the law was broken, and here's what we're going to do to fix it.
So basically, they put together a half-ass report. You don't have to say that. You don't have to comment. You can laugh, but that's my words, not hers. It was a half-ass report just to pay back, because there's some underlining things that went on with principles, but we won't get into that. That just it irks me when you shoot your own. You shoot your own. But anyways, so what do we have coming up that people should be aware of? What bills or anything
election integrity bills are coming up constantly. Like we testified, usually it's on Tuesdays and Thursdays, the hearings are held.
And which committee, Tuesday and Thursday?
That's the Elections and Ethics Committee.
Okay.
Yeah.
And is there a certain time that they usually have their hearings?
They usually have about 10
o'clock?
No, about noon.
Noon, okay. Okay.
But they don't give you a lot of notice. Yep, and you can always check. You can go right onto the Michigan Legislature site, and it will show you the hearings that are coming up. And you can actually say, okay, I want to be notified for all the hearings on commerce or all the hearings on election integrity. So they'll send you a notice, which is very helpful.
You need to update it, because I've done it a few times and you get no updates. So you have to do your due diligence to make sure you're on it. So now, who chairs the committee?
Representative Bolin, Ann Bolin chairs the House Committee on Elections and Ethics, and Senator Ruth Johnson chairs the Senate Committee.
So basically, you got two clerks, basically, former Secretary of State, and these two should pretty much be experts on election processes, I'll say.
Yes,
And they should be able to say and look and say, man, the last election did not pass the smell test. I'll be kind and just say that. They should be able to say that at least. But anyway, so what else do you have coming up?
Well, just to follow on that,
follow up, sure.
Ann had mentioned, I've heard her mention several times, that there isn't consistency among the various precincts and counties, and that there needs to be consistency, and the laws are clear, so the laws need to be enforced consistently. Detroit and Wayne County needs to conduct its elections with the same type of standards that other counties do, and I think that's a very good point on her part.
You would think that would be automatic, and I'm gonna as a Hispanic, so don't call me out and say I'm a racist, but do Detroiters not know how to add, subtract, and because basically that's what it is. You get this vote, you get this one, you match the numbers up, and you put it in there, and if you got 50 in this pile and you put it in the machine, and if it doesn't come back 50, then you got a problem. So, and at the end of the day, if it's 1,000 votes went in that machine, you should have 1,000 ballots, right?
That's right.
And then they've had trouble doing that. So
yes.
Detroiters, maybe you should get some education. Okay, yeah. It's coming from a Hispanic, so don't call me a racist. But I digress. Okay. Sorry about that. I don't want to put you in the middle of that. They're going to call you a white racist now. So,
oh, no.
And you can thank me for that. But so thanks, what else do we have? that we should be concerned about that's out there?
Well, in terms of concerned about, let me see, there's the Durham report, but mostly, well, I guess I should mention the Arizona.
Yeah.
Have we talked about that?
No.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's real. That's this Friday. Maricopa County is presenting the results of its forensic audit to the Arizona Senate. And I'm thrilled that the next day, Patrick Kolbeck will be the featured speaker at Pure Integrity for Michigan Elections meeting. Okay. So we'll get all the inside scoop of what's been going on.
I'm going to be in Mackinac.
Oh,
sorry.
Well, that's good, though. That's good. You're going to be there.
Yeah, so definitely, we definitely want to have you back to give us a full explanation of what happened. And but you know what? I also want you back because I want to talk about the Durham report, because I think there is so much to that, and I don't think people really know how potentially damaging this report is. So let's have you back, and we'll talk about that. So until next time, Joshua 24:15.